This technology should be used with caution. Always provide notice when distributing machine learning generated content. Welcome to part 2 of my 3-part series for how to create an automated blog. In this video, I'm going to take you through the setup process of using my virtual machine template service to deploy your code to a virtual machine in Google Cloud. I have a few things on screen that I'd like to explain. First of all, you'll notice on the left that we've got a README file that you might recognize from the first video. We already went through some of the setup instructions, but we only got down to this case 2, where we didn't have code yet, and we used my open source template in order to get our backend code working. Now we're going to move down to the Google Cloud Platform account setup. First of all, you'll need to set up an account in Google Cloud Platform if you don't have one already. You'll need to set up a project in that account, and you'll need to keep track of the project ID. You'll also need to set up a billing account and link the billing account to your project. If you don't do this step, the setup won't go through. You'll need to ask me for an email address so that you can add the editor role in Google Cloud to my account. I'll take you through that right now. Make sure that when you're on Google Cloud that you select the correct account in the top right. We're going to be using this project here. You'll need to add me as an editor in your project. So you can click the button in the top left, add the email that I tell you once we go through the setup, and add the editor role in the dropdown. Next, you'll need to prepare answers to a few questions so that we can complete the setup process. First of all, what's your project ID? It's the one that I told you to keep track of above. What would you like the name of your VM to be? This can be anything you want, but in our case, I'm going to call it Autoblog. Next, what machine type do you want? There's lots of machine types to choose from, and if you don't know, you can ask me and I can give you some advice. But in our case, we're going to use the C2 standard 8 machine type. This has 8 CPUs and 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it should be okay for our application. Next, do you need an accelerator? In our case, we're not going to use one, but there's a lot of reasons why you might want one. For instance, if you're doing batch GPU training of neural networks, you might want to use one. Or if you're doing any sort of virtual machine video editing, it might also be useful. You can see that the prices for all of this hardware is listed, and the price that you'll be paying per hour or per minute of your virtual machine will change depending on what hardware you select. Do you have a zone preference? There's a lot of reasons why you might want to have a specific zone. For instance, if it's really close to you. But one thing you have to make sure is that the zone has all of the hardware that you need, because not every zone in Google Cloud has all the hardware that Google has to offer. Next, what boot disk size do you need? The default is 200 gigabytes, and that should work fine for most applications. What would you like your virtual machine username to be? This doesn't matter at all. And in our case, we're going to be calling it Blogger. What Python version do you want to use? For us, we're going to use 3.9.5. What's the name of the Git branch that you want the virtual machine to run when it wakes up? In our case, we're going to use the master branch, but usually this is a branch that is associated with your production or development environments. What's the URL of the repository that you created? If you were following along in the last video, that would be the repository you created from the template. What time zone would you like to be the basis for your schedule? In our case, we're going to be using UTC-4 because that's my time zone. Finally, how long do you expect the code to take to run to completion? The reason why I ask this is because there's a mechanism built into the architecture that shuts down the virtual machine after its allotted time. This can be useful in case your code runs into a bug and the virtual machine stays running for longer than you expect. This way, you don't have to pay for when your code fails. After you create a document that looks something like this, you'll be able to send it to me, and I'll be able to start the setup process. This is a collaborative setup process, so I'll need to send you a few things, but since I'm doing it for myself right now, I'm going to get started on my part of the process, and then I'll come back when I need to show you how to do your part. Okay, so I'm back for our collaborative step. So what I'm going to do is give you a SSH key that you're going to need to add to your GitHub that has access to the repository that you've made. In my case, I'm using my GitHub account, and I will go into Settings, and I will go down to SSH and GPT keys, and then we're going to add a new SSH key. And you can give it whatever name you'd like. I'm going to give it Automatic Blog, and then I'm going to paste the key into this window here, and I will add it. You're going to have to confirm your password, and now you should be all set. I'm back, and we're ready to do the finishing touches. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy over a configuration file that I will send you if you have paid for the service and we have gotten this far in the setup. So I'm going to go over to my downloads, and we're going to copy this file into the maintenance directory. So you'll see that there are some fields that I've already populated for you. In this case, they're for me. But you could have also probably figured out some of these keys on your own, except for maybe these two here at the bottom. These keys are necessary for your maintenance scripts to work properly. We're going to need to use these maintenance scripts so that we can set up some environment variables inside our virtual machine, and also so that we can move some files into our virtual machine. So I'm going to come over here to our maintenance scripts, and I'm going to use the upload file script. In order to use these scripts, we're going to need to have a terminal, and I recommend using git bash just like we did in video 1. So what I have here is my file explorer open to our repository. And in order for our scripts to run properly, we're going to want to navigate into the hook maintenance directory and open a terminal here. From here, we can execute all of these scripts. So the first one we're going to do is the upload file.sh script, because we want to upload the cloud storage credentials.json file to our VM. We'll do .upload file.sh, and this script will guide us through the upload process. First up, we need to enter the local file path, and for us, that's going to be d git space my website automated blog, and then credentials and cloud storage credentials.json. And then we're going to have to enter the virtual machine file path, and we can do /home/ your username, whatever that is. In this case, it's going to be Blogger, and then the repository name, automated blog, and then credentials / cloud storage credentials.json. And that's uploading. Once this is done uploading, the VM will once again shut down. So we're going to run that script again, but this time we're going to upload our configuration file prod.config from the last video. So our local path is going to be a little bit different. d/git space / my website / automated blog / configurations / prod.config. And the VM file path is going to be /home/ our username blogger / our repository automated blog / configurations / prod.config. And now that that's uploading, we should be good in terms of all the files we need to upload. And now the next thing is we're going to have to update our environment variables on our virtual machine. Okay, so to do that, we're going to change scripts. We're going to do .manage environment variables.sh. and wait for our virtual machine to start up. And while that's going, we can look at the environment variables that we need to add just to remind ourselves. So we've got two here. One is the active config, which is going to tell us which of the configurations to run. In this case, it's only one that we have to choose from, so it makes it easy. And then the Google application credentials pointing to our credentials path inside the virtual machine. Okay, so first thing it's saying here, please enter key value pairs for your environment variables one at a time. And it shows an example, my variable equals my value. And we can start on that now. So active config is going to be equal to prod, just like we have here. And then Google application credentials is going to be equal to our path in our VM. So it's going to be /home/ our username, which is blogger, /automated blog, /credentials, /cloud storage credentials .json. And then we can enter done when we're done, and it'll confirm our environment variables for us. So we can just double check that that's correct. Google application credentials, home, blogger, automated blog, credentials, cloud storage credentials.json. And we can say yes to that. So every time you use this script, it's going to overwrite your credentials file. So just be aware of that. Okay, so that's done. It's shutting the virtual machine down. And then the last thing we have to do is just test to see that everything is working okay. So we're going to do a manual run, and we'll see how it goes. Manual run.sh. All right, so the manual run finished. And when the manual run finishes, you'll notice that it downloads a VM logs.zip folder to your logs directory automatically in the repository. So you can go in and navigate to that and extract it. And you can check out what the logs have to say. We see that the model was downloading here. And then if I get all the way to the bottom, you'll see that we logged our content for our blog, and we have the script completed in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The 3-hour time allotment that we gave was obviously pretty significant, but part of that is because the config that I have set is for a very small amount of content. When I actually go to tweak it, I'll probably make it a lot longer. And now we can look on the Google Cloud console to see if our data actually showed up. So let's go over there. And yeah, so we see it right here. The newest one here, August 5th, is the content that we just uploaded. So it worked great, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next video where we're going to actually implement the web application side of this. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you find this useful. If you're interested in this service, all of the links will be in the description below. Thanks a lot.